Aloha, my friends. Mark J. Lindquist here, motivational speaker, entertainer, national anthem singer, and UND fan. Fan of Grand Forks, fan of Altru Health, fan of you. Mark J. Lindquist is my name. And the powers that be at Altru care about you. And they have arranged to bring you some of the best motivational speakers and entertainers and wise voices from all over our country. And then they canceled, so you get me. So I'm just a guy sitting in quarantine, been here for 55 days. And thank goodness I get to talk to you for a bit. First of all, Jen, I apologize for being such a slug and not getting this to you on time. I hope that you're still able to view this on Friday. Again, my name is Mark J. Lindquist. I've lived in the Red River Valley half my adult life. Obviously a huge UND hockey fan, been able to sing at the Ralph, and I really miss that. And for those of you who might not know me, I grew up in Ortonville, Minnesota, 2 hours south of Fargo, North Dakota, an hour south of Breckenridge, a small town, 2,000 people. Grew up on a farm outside of Ortonville, Minnesota with our family of four, the Lindquist family that adopted me. I was adopted in March of 1982. I was 8 months old, and I flew from Seoul, South Korea, to Minneapolis, and my parents picked me up, and I was so fortunate to be raised in Western Minnesota and be given Western Minnesota values. You know, grew up on a farm, and taught some hard work ethic and responsibility and all that stuff. All those things that you are obviously demonstrating at Altru Health. And so, first of all, why in the world would you listen to me? First of all, I hope this is just a little distraction from the day-to-day that I know you are enduring, and hopefully finding moments where you can thrive through this time. I hope this is a distraction that might bring a smile to your face, if nothing else. Just keep your mind off it a little bit. I've been talking to healthcare workers all over the world, and I've been trying to relate any experience that I might have in my life to put myself in your shoes, the shoes of the healthcare workers globally, but of course those that are near and dear to my heart, like my friend Jill at Altru, and my friend Haley and Jenna, you know, friends that work in and around your building or remote facilities across the state. And I've been trying to think of what life is like through your eyes right now. And I guess the best thing I've been able to do is come up with the experience I've had as a veteran in the United States Air Force. And so for those of you who don't know, I served honorably in the Air Force for 6 years. And I was stationed at Hickam Air Force Base in Honolulu, Hawaii. So I won that lottery, and it was totally just luck of the draw. I got to be stationed at Hickam Air Force Base in Honolulu. And so, I traveled the world with the Air Force and went to 22 different countries and 38 states entertaining troops. And so my life has always been about serving others and serving those who are serving others. First with AmeriCorps. If you don't know about AmeriCorps, it's a wonderful program. I don't know if any of you have young people that are looking for options. Of course, we don't know what federal funding is going to be in the future, but it's a federally funded program called AmeriCorps. It's like a domestic Peace Corps. So AmeriCorps, AmeriCorps. And the program's been around 25, 30 years or so, and I was in one of the early classes 20 years ago. And in that program, I got to support nonprofits, and so I learned what it was to support those who were supporting others. And while I served in the United States Air Force, I was largely in a supportive role in the intelligence career field, not unlike some of the people that you might know out at Grand Forks Air Force Base who help with the drones. And so got to do some of that in supporting those who were the war fighters on the front lines. And then I got a chance to entertain troops at almost every major Air Force installation on the planet. In fact, we came to the Chester Fritz in, I want to say, June of 2011 was the world tour that I was on, and got to do this wonderful special duty and use my talents as a singer to help uplift the troops. Because if you really think about it, when you go over to the Middle East, I don't know if many of you have been there. If you haven't, I'll describe it. when you go over to the Middle East, you know, Afghanistan, Kuwait, some of the places where we were boots on the ground and entertained the troops in Oman and UAE and Turkey, in Kyrgyzstan. When you go to those places in the world, there's not any color. You know, you didn't think about that. Those that serve and sacrifice many things to serve our country, you go overseas to some of these bases and you don't get to see color for a year. I know this, not because I was stationed overseas for any, you know, heroic length of time. I went over there a couple different times and entertained troops each time. But there, we would wear those silly sequin vests. Maybe you've seen me wear them a few times. You know, bright red sequin vests, bright blue sequin vests, you know, Christmas time. And some of the troops, you know, some of the toughest men and women in America's military would come up to us. You know, they'd just gotten back from the front lines. They were outside the wire, meaning outside the walls of the base. And they still had their, you know, their PPE. So that's why we know PPE. They still have their PPE on. And they would sit there in our audience and they would cry. Because when you're deployed and sometimes the shit hits the fan, sometimes you just need to cry. And so what I learned in the United States military is at times that are most stressful and intense, you don't bottle it up. You can't. To bottle things up right now is self-sabotage. I've studied, you know, I have no degrees, I have no certifications, I'm just a curious guy, and I've studied PTS a lot. The best thing I've ever heard on post-traumatic stress is we've stopped saying post-traumatic stress disorder. Because it's not a disorder. Let healthcare professionals like you say that. Let the psychologists say that. You're just experiencing post-traumatic stress. And so I've studied that a lot. I've experienced it myself. You know, I've been through some crazy shit. I don't even know if I can say that on a YouTube video. Got shot at by street gangs in D.C. when I was 19, 20 years old. Was in Washington, D.C. and felt the windows shake when the plane hit the Pentagon. I wasn't in the Pentagon. I was in an office building a few miles southeast of the Pentagon. I actually gave a TEDx talk in Grand Forks at the Empire Theater on that topic. Being at the Pentagon in the days following 9/11, working for the Red Cross, once again supporting the people who were doing the real work. You know, almost drowned on the north shore of Oahu in Hawaii, and got bombed by the Taliban in Afghanistan on Christmas Eve 2011. You know, and so I'm not telling you those things to tell you that I'm heroic. Every time I did and experienced every one of those things, I was like a ball of mush, crying, weeping, fetal position, sucking my thumb in the corner. I didn't handle any of it very well. But I tell you all that just to relate that these stressful times and these stressful experiences in life, that I've been through some of them. Certainly I have no idea what it's like to be a healthcare workers on the front lines today, but I do know what it's like to be in situations where you're frustrated by the circumstances that are outside of your control. Because think about it, when you sign up for the United States military, you raise your right hand, you pledge allegiance to the flag, and honor pledge to support and defend the Constitution of the United States and obey the orders of the officers appointed over me, and including the President of the United States. Obviously I need to go back to my regulations and remember the oath of enlistment. But we all raised our right hand and we pledged that we would obey the orders of the officers appointed over me. And in the military, an organization, a couple million strong, the members, we don't have a lot of say. We don't have a lot of say in what happens. Of course, as you rise in rank, you earn that voice. But when you're a puny little airman like I was, I didn't have a college degree. So I enlisted. And so I was bottom of the barrel, And it was really good for me. It was really good for me to remind myself what it's like to have to climb your way up and claw your way up in an organization. And so, but I know what it's like to be told what to do, where to go, how to act, what time to be there, where you're going to live, where you can't live. You know, and you give up some of these freedoms. You know, and that was a revelation to me actually when I was in the military. And I was 26 years old when I enlisted, and I really look back at it and I think to myself, I mean, how foolish and naive really was I about how the world worked? And I joined the United States military, and I didn't think to myself that the people that are fighting for the freedoms, they themselves don't necessarily get to enjoy those freedoms while you're serving. That was like a revelation to me, and I know you're probably rolling your eyes like, okay, Mark is actually dumber than I thought. We're all dumber having heard that, right? And may God have mercy on your soul, Billy Madison. But that was my revelation, like, oh my goodness, now that I'm, you know, an enlisted troop in the military, and I don't get the same luxuries that the Bill of Rights affords everybody else. Because now I am in that oath of enlistment, we swear to also abide by the Uniform Code of Military Justice. And so the UCMJ takes first position and precedence. And so, by gosh, there's some things in the UCMJ that limit your ability to make a decision. So I'm thinking through all this, and I'm thinking maybe through the eyes of a healthcare worker, because Stephen Covey in 7 Habits of the Highly Effective People, one of the first wonderful self-help books I read in 7th grade, taught us all that the lens through which you see the world is your paradigm. And sometimes you can go through a paradigm shifting experience. And so I always look for that, or try to, as a motivational speaker who just tries to bring a perspective that might brighten your day or propel you forward to get you to the next level. Sometimes getting to the next level is just done up here. It's done with mental well-being. And so I offer some of these perspectives, which is to say, in the military, I had to show up and do what they told me to do, and I really didn't have any say. So what do you do when you feel powerless? And now this is, of course, rooted in my assumption that maybe some of you do feel powerless. Maybe some of you, I've heard sentiments from other healthcare workers around the world when I've talked to them on the phone and heard these sentiments with my own ears. Maybe you're thinking it too. Maybe you're thinking things like, I didn't sign up for this. Maybe you're thinking things like, let's be real. I'm not trying to be a downer right now. I'm the most positive guy you know, right? But I'm trying to be as real as I can, because I've been thinking about the world a lot through your eyes. That's the lens through which I'm trying to see the world. And if I were a healthcare worker, one of the things I would say is, holy cow, don't you people, what do you mean you people, right? Don't the people understand that this is a serious thing? And whether or not the numbers are high or not, this is my thinking of what maybe you might be thinking. I'm not judging anybody and their opinions. I'm a motivational speaker. I'm forced to see it from all sides, because in my audiences, there's left, right, up, down, and everywhere in between. There's faith, people of faith, and people of no faith. There's men, women. There's LGBTQI. There's everything. And so, as a motivational speaker, I'm trained, and have been lucky enough to rise to the place where I'm speaking for McDonald's and Starbucks and Walmart, and I'm trained to be able to see issues through everybody's eyes, and then be able to deliver the synopsis or the sociologist's commentary to the audience so that everybody can say, oh, yes, okay, that's what we can agree on. And so I've been trying to see the world through your eyes, the healthcare workers, specifically the healthcare workers of the Red River Valley. Because, on one side of the river, I understand, and I don't have to update you on the situation, but I'm seeing it through. One side of the river has a lockdown, and one side of the river doesn't. And what I'm seeing is a world where whether you wear a mask in public or whether you don't is almost a political statement. And the posts that you like or share on Facebook is becoming more divisive by the day. And so I'm trying to communicate to you that I'm working hard to see it your way. And I'm saying, if I were you, I would say, Don't you get it? You're making it harder for me. That's what I would be thinking. And that's why I see healthcare workers recording videos asking people to take this more seriously. So I want you to know that I've been spending a lot of my time thinking about that for you. And I put together initiatives that you'll be hearing more and more about. I landed a radio show on KFGO, and so every Sunday I'm going to be part of the package that replaces the Minnesota Twins coverage. And so, what a great honor! And so it's called Smile in Time with Mark J. Lindquist. And I just figured that if anybody could bring a smile through the radio, maybe it could be me. You know, I don't know why. Maybe I'm just naive, but I have this ability to sometimes just see the good. And so I've been thinking about it through your eyes, and I'm thinking, okay, so if I'm sitting in that situation and I'm becoming increasingly frustrated by the public's seemingly lack of care for the lives and well-being of the healthcare workers, because if I know one thing in life, it's some intense situations. It's kind of what I underground specialize in, the high intensity situations that not many people could handle. I mean, I sing the national anthem for 70,000 people at a time a cappella, right? And like I said, have led troops while the air raid sirens are going off on Bagram Air Force Base in Afghanistan, and led teams during that shooting in D.C. and led teams meeting folks at the White House and performing for them, and these intense situations I'm familiar with. I've worked for the Department of Homeland Security, and I've sat in the briefings. I've sat in the briefings with the emergency workers as we talk about communication systems and interoperability, and we talk about deployment cycles. All these things are the language that I've been able to speak over the years, and so I offer these tips that hopefully help you through these tough times. First idea that you can choose to embrace or not is to hold it in right now and not let it out, is to be involved in self-sabotage. And I know there's probably a lot of things that you have held in because you haven't been able to process them, because you spend every waking hour out on the floor, on your feet. I know it's wearing on many of you. I know that people are getting short. I don't know that. I haven't heard that from anybody that you work with. I just know stressful situations. I know that sometimes you don't feel heard. I know that sometimes you don't feel like you have any control or choice. I know that sometimes you feel despair. And when you feel those things, I want to tell you, as a person who has been through years of therapy, the best advice I could give, and I'm not a licensed psychologist, anything. I don't have a credential to my name. But I know that I've struggled through the same things. I know that I've had nightmares of the air raid sirens in Bagram. I know that I've lost a lot of sleep over the years of what would have happened if one of my team members that I was in charge of got shot that day in D.C. I know I've left a lot of bags under my eyes while living in Hawaii, wondering what would have happened if that undertow would have taken my friend and he would have not survived. Why did I get spit out on the beach and he got sucked under? Pure chance. I've dealt with those issues. I've dealt with professional issues, balancing career and mental wellness. I had a top secret security clearance in the United States military, a pretty, I don't know, it's probably not a prestigious job, but, a decent job in the military. And I had to grapple with the issues of, do I go to the NSA, National Security Agency psychologist, and admit that I'm having some problems up here? Well, I did. But I had to grapple through that. I had to talk to my supervisor. I had to sleep on it. I had to call my mom. I had to figure out, I don't know. Yes, of course, there are policies that are put in place so there's no fear of reprisal kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? But you know how it is. You worry about that stuff because sometimes we lack control. And so what I've learned over the years is is you can't keep it in right now. So what the thing that I've done is I'll record, like on my voice recorder on my iPhone, or just a video like this even. I'll record it for myself. On a stressful day, here's what I'll do. I'll turn on the recorder and I'll sit in my car. And after that day, I just recap the day. And I just go off on tangents because nobody's listening. I'm just talking to myself. But I get to let it out and I get to express the frustration. And sometimes I scream, but it's okay because I'm in my car. And sometimes I cry, but it's okay because I'm in my car. Sometimes I end up stopping the recording and calling a friend. Maybe I'm still crying at that time, but I'm letting it out, you see? That's the key, is that to bottle it up right now is self-sabotage. To let it out, even if you feel like you don't have anybody, you can do it for yourself on a recorded line. And you know what you might want to do? You might want to delete that thing immediately. Because that's sometimes if I'm feeling just a certain way, sometimes that's my way of sending it out into the universe and it's no longer my problem. I got rid of it. I gave words to it. I gave meaning to it. And now, whoosh, gone. Now I can go to sleep soundly. And before I go to sleep, I don't know if you believe in this. I don't know what you believe in. I believe in hocus pocus. I believe in, if it's good and you're dwelling on positive things and bringing positive thoughts to your brain, I mean, why not? That's a good thing, right? Be a positive thinker. There's no harm done there. Try not to be naive, but before I go to sleep, I always say, hey, brain, I know you're going to be working on something tonight. I'm going to be asleep, conked out, not even knowing what's going on, but why don't you work on this problem? And sometimes I'll wake up with this idea in the middle of the night and then I jot it down. Or sometimes I say, hey, brain, today was a tough day. You see how I talk to myself? I know I'm crazy. I say, hey, brain, today was a tough day. Let's just kind of get rid of those memories, right? I don't want to dream about them. I don't want nothing like that. Just and I get rid of it. So that's one of them. You can talk it out yourself, but sometimes you're going to want to keep those recordings because something happened that day. Because as you let it out, some of the positive things will come out, and some of the negative things will come out too. But also, this is one of those experiences in life where it's like, if you say 1492 or 1776, I was listening to Warren Buffett the other day, and he gave me this idea. If you say 1492, 1776, you say, 1929, you say 1942, 1969, you say 9/11, you say Y2K, and now, you say 2008. And all those numbers conjure up some image, and now one day you're going to say 2020. And it's going to mean something to everybody on planet Earth. And so right now, you're going to want to record those things for posterity. You're going to want to remember what you were thinking right now. Because you're going to learn a lot through these moments. If we're intentional about it, we can learn a lot about how to build a better world, build a better America. And I speak for the largest healthcare organizations in America. I speak for the American Nurses Association. I'm speaking for hospital associations. That's a third of my business. So I've spent a lot of time getting to know what you do and how you think and your challenges. And if anybody is going to help build America 2.0, one of the first things we're obviously going to do is reprioritize where we put healthcare in the whole mix, right? Well, you're going to have a part of that. How? You know me. So I can be your voice. That's what I want to be. I got a show on KFGO. I want people to, hear your perspective. I'll give you my microphone. I'm on TV. Well, I used to be on TV with the NFL. I was on TV in front of 100 million people a year last couple of years. So I can put the spotlight on you. So I want you to know that there's some hope. Got to get going here. I only got 5 more minutes. Another tip that I've always employed is an object in motion tends to stay in motion. An object at rest tends to stay at rest. And so when you're feeling down, maybe you have hopefully you get a couple days off. I always give myself a goal. I always give myself a goal that's others oriented, right? Serving others always takes my mind off of me, helps keep the depression that I suffer from. If I'm running toward the goal or direction, serving others, I don't have time to worry about my own problems. And I'm not stick my head in the sand. I'm not naive to that level. I just recognize that if you have a goal and a direction, I believe that human beings are hardwired to want to level up. And so when you give yourself a goal to level up, then sometimes you can put yourself on autopilot at work, because what you're really doing during the day is that subconscious mind of yours working on your next goal and dream. And so it gets fun, because as you talk in the conversations, the hallways and the breaks and any free moments that you have, you're always talking about that goal or dream or vision. So you always give yourself that something out in front of you to shoot for, so the depression and anxiety and all the bad thoughts can't keep up with you. I always keep a goal in front of you. I would even make it a game during the day. How like this stupid little goal, like how many people. This is what I used to do when I was training for the United States military. So I wasn't a very good runner, but I knew I needed to get good at long distances for basic training. And so while I was running, while I was working at Fair Hills Resort in where was I? I was down in Moorhead, living in Moorhead at the time. And while I was running outdoors, I would always say to myself, I can make it to the next light pole. You're chunking, reasonable goals you can achieve. So I can make it to the next light pole, and I would repeat that to myself. Make it to the next light pole, make it to the next light pole, make it to the next light pole. What I would, maybe one of the strategies you could involve yourself in is while you're walking down the hall, if you don't have to be working on a problem in your head, you can say, whose day can I brighten? 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 Oh, you better not come around that corner. I'm going to brighten your day, and you're going to do something, and you're going to make someone smile, right? Or maybe, I don't know if you're wearing face masks or if you're wearing face shields, and I'm doing everything I can to raise the money to get you the PPE that you need and get plenty of it. And, you put a silly face on, print out your home computer and tape a silly face to the outside, or tape a picture of yourself. I've seen healthcare workers do that, and so then your patients get to see a smiling face on the outside of your mask. So it's not a faceless thing. Maybe hang something on your, and I don't know if this healthcare workers can do this, but hang something on your gown, that tells some trivia about you. This is who I am. This is, the picture of my family, whatever. Right, wear it on the front, because you need that human interaction too from your patients. I know you miss that. Maybe you haven't thought about that, but you need that human interaction just as much as your patients do. And so maybe things like that. The other thing is this, and the last thing I'll say. Shared experience. I was talking to the UND athletics department the other day. I was talking about shared experience. Think about where your friends come from in life. Your friends come from where you work. Your friends come from college. Your friends come from something you shared together, Right now, you all at Altru are sharing this experience together. If there's anybody on earth that understands what you're going through, it's the people that work with you. Make sure right now you're locking arm in arm with all of your coworkers, and reaching out to your coworkers, and stopping by when you can, and all of you are together, because you're the ones who understand what you are going through, and this is fertile ground for lifelong relationships that will be stronger than ever, because you've all gone through this together. The people who were in the van when we were shot at by street gangs in DC, we will never be apart ever. Like, there's something we've gone through that's so impactful. That is the fertile ground for deep relationships. So start talking it out with your coworkers. Start being intentional with, I get it, you don't have a lot of free time, but with any free time you have, be intentional about experiencing this together, because you can create a bond through this shared experience like at no other time since 9/11, like at no other time since JFK's assassination, like at no other time than during Vietnam, and these events in society when everybody's consciousness is focused in on one thing. Forever you'll be able to bond with your friends and recall the time when you went through this together. Because I know it probably sounds trite, and I'm actually probably getting sick of hearing it too, so I should probably not say what I'm going to say next. But there's going to be a brighter day. Right? I mean, humankind will get through this. And I think the best advice or best thought that I can plant in your mind is that's what you have to focus on. Is you have to focus on the world that you want to build when we get through all this. the difference you want to make. Because if you plant a dream inside of your brain right now and let that take root, this could be the time, because we're hyper aware right now. Our instincts are taking over. Our primal instincts are taking over, and we're looking for threats in the world, because that's what happens when we're stressed, right? It's the fight or flight experience. So now our senses are heightened. And so now is a time where we can learn, and we can put this energy that has maybe many days been negative about the world and our circumstances, and now we can will it to be a positive thing in our life. And I believe that the year 2020, for those that are able to talk it out, get to the upper part of the pyramid of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where you start, borderline enlightenment. I think that this is the time where we could find some of that enlightenment, because our collective consciousness is honed in on one thing. I think this is a time where you, the frontline leaders who are like the veterans and people that soldiers and sailors, airmen and Marines that I have served overseas, that you're the report from the front lines. We're experiencing something in the human race that this generation of humans has never experienced before. And so you are going to be the ones to tell the story of what it was like on the front lines, as if I'm a war reporter, and you're telling me your perspective so that the rest of the country can learn from it. I understand that right now it seems, or it may seem, like the world hasn't learned our lessons yet. But they will, and I'll work with you on it. And I get to speak to Starbucks and McDonald's and Walmarts and the biggest companies on planet Earth, and there's no reason why that would end now. And so we'll give you a voice. That's my cell phone. If you want to text me, if you want to share with me, if you want to just vent to me, if you want to type at the beginning of the text, hey, delete this after I send it, I will. I won't even read it, because maybe you just need to get it out. 701-205-1913. 701-205-1913. That's for you. Because I'm talking to the smartest people in the world right now, 10, 12 hours a day. And I've got some pretty good perspective on the world. And if you want to hear any of that, I'm here for you. Or if you just want to vent, I'm here for you. I love you, Altru. I'm sorry I rambled on too long, but I love you, and I wanted to give you my best. And so I've been going over draft after draft after draft of this talk that I was going to give you, and I'm sorry if it ended up sucking. I just wish you the best, and I want you to know that there's somebody out there that is working tirelessly for you. And soon, I swear, you will feel the effects of this work, because you've got about a half a dozen veterans that have been working day and night to come up with solutions to give you all the support you need. So I want you to know that I'm here for you. Please text me, get a hold of me if you have any initiatives that you'd like to start, or programs that you'd like to see in the community, and you can't get them started, of course, because you're on shift. Give them to me. Give your ideas to me, and I'll run with them. I'll make them happen. I'll bring the corporate sponsors together. We'll do the big hoopla, and we'll get you the help you need. We'll get you, not that you need help, get you the support you need. That's what we want. I want to show you and let you know that there's people out there who are thinking about you day and night, and we love you. So Altru Health. That was the worst military salute you've ever seen. Love you. Take care. Bye.